1260 KDUZ News, I'm Mark Wodarczyk. The Farm Mercantile in Fairfax was burglarized at some point last weekend. Authorities say the crime occurred between 5 p.m. Saturday and 2 p.m. Sunday. The building was broken into and merchandise was taken from the store. The process of determining exactly what was taken, as well as the total value of items stolen, continues, as the Fairfax Police Department also continues its investigation. Authorities ask that anyone that may have noticed any unusual activity around the store Saturday or Sunday contact them. Authorities are holding 3 suspects in a bank robbery in Champlin in which the robbers ordered bank employees and customers to the floor. The FBI says it's looking at other holdups that appear eerily similar to the one Wednesday at the First Minnesota Bank. A Burnsville man has been sentenced to 4 years in prison for a deadly shooting that prosecutors say was sparked by an argument over Facebook photos.
47-year-old Robert Michael Thomas pleaded guilty last month to second-degree manslaughter in Dakota County Court. Thomas was accused of shooting 38-year-old James Edward Koenig on January 23rd in a dispute over Koenig posing shirtless while Thomas's 13-year-old son took photos of him for Facebook. Thomas agreed to a plea deal with the prosecutor's office. Other charges of second-degree murder, intentional discharge of a firearm, and reckless discharge of a firearm were dismissed. I'm Abby Popp.
Wisconsin's Claims Board has awarded $25,000 to a Minnesota man who served 10 years in prison for a child sexual assault he didn't commit. In 1990, Romaine Stephen Isham of Duluth was convicted of abusing an 8-year-old boy. 20 years later, the alleged victim admitted he lied. Minnesota has its first death reported in an early flu season. The state health department has not identified the victim, adding this past week also saw one more person hospitalized, bringing the statewide total to 4 so far. Chris Haresman with the Minnesota Department of Health says it's too early to tell if this is going to be a tough flu season.
We know that Wisconsin has also reported their first lab-confirmed case, and so it appears that the season, at least in our neck of the woods, is starting a bit earlier. That doesn't necessarily predict whether or not the season will be more severe.
Haresman says this year's flu vaccine appears to be a good match for the strain that's circulating.
Initially, we've seen that there appears to be a good match, so we'll wait to see how the season plays out. But right now, yes, the strain that we identified in the first cases was similar to what was included in the vaccine.
There have still been no flu outbreaks at schools or nursing homes. A woman from Albert Lea has admitted washing $5 bills with chemicals and reprinting them as $100 bills. Heather Ann Cameron is the last of 8 people accused in a southern Minnesota counterfeiting ring to plead guilty. Prosecutors say the group targeted businesses along the I-35 corridor between the Twin Cities and the Iowa border. Today marks the 30th day Occupy Minnesota protesters have been gathering in the Government Plaza in downtown Minneapolis. Hennepin County Sheriff Rich Stanek says overall the protesters have been peaceful.
And my job as a law enforcement officer and sheriff of this county is protect public safety. We have been very candid and open, honest with the demonstrators. We meet with them on a daily basis.
Occupy Minnesota protesters will be marching against corporate greed tomorrow in downtown Minneapolis. Their target will be multinational banks. The march is in conjunction with the anniversary of Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929, when the stock market plummeted at the beginning of the Great Depression. Republicans pushing for the passage of jobs bills in the Senate, and the president happy about a European debt deal. ABC's Brad Wheelis reports.
Focus on the White House. President Obama praised the debt deal in Europe.
I'm glad to see that progress was made in the recent meetings. I think it is an important first step.
Many U.S. banks have big investments in Europe, and that's why this deal is so important to American stockholders. The president also encouraged by the improvement in the GDP, but the political gridlock has not improved. ABC's Ann Compton.
Another sign, Brad, that Washington's political air has turned poisonous. The usually genteel White House spokesman Jay Carney needled GOP leaders for not voting on the president's jobs ideas, taking time instead to approve the minting of gold coins to honor baseball legends, a zinger he delivered with caustic sarcasm.
House Speaker John Boehner is asking the president to push the democratically controlled Senate into passing some jobs bills.
Many of these bills passed the House with bipartisan support. 15 common-sense bills that have helped get our economy moving again.
I'm Brad Wheelis, ABC News.
President Barack Obama says he's looking forward to hosting the Minnesota Lynx at the White House. Obama called Coach Cheryl Reeve yesterday to congratulate her and the team on their recent WNBA championship. St. Louis Cardinals, twice down to their final strike, rallied to beat Texas 10-9 in 11 innings to force a Game 7 tonight to decide the World Series. David Freese forced extra innings with a two-run triple in the bottom of the ninth.
Swung on, high fly ball to right. Going back is Nelson Cruz. He's on the track, at the wall, he can't get it. It's beyond his reach. One run is home. Two runs are home. The game is tied at 7. Over to third goes Freese, and he is safe with a triple.
Freese wasn't finished. He delivered a walk-off home run in the 11th to touch off a wild home plate celebration in St. Louis.
Pitch swung on, high fly ball to center field. Hamilton going back. He's on the track. He's at the wall. It is gone, and the Cardinals have won it. A walk-off home run by David Freese.
Eric Nadel with a call on ESPN Radio, Dallas. Right now, it's looking good for Halloween trick-or-treaters on Monday night. Forecaster Greg Gust expects highs in the upper 40s to mid-50s statewide, meaning costumes will remain in full sight.
We won't have to have plastic trash bags over them. We won't have to have coats over them.
However, after Halloween, the trick will likely be on Minnesotans as the latest weather models point to a potentially colder and snowier winter ahead. Crow River